everybody, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is your Collider Movie Talk crew. First up, senior producer Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video headquarters here in Burbank, California, and I'm just trying to figure out what STFO means. Working that out. I think it's supposed to be you.
It was you.
Yeah, it was
She
supposed
said
to be.
you.
Oh, did she say you?
STFU.
I stand corrected.
And also here, writer-director Jon Schnepp.
My belly is full of Blumenkrimps. Blumenkrimpens. It's so delicious.
And also Kristian Harloff.
Here's an impression of me going through my Instagram account. Oh, wait, there's Jared from Subway. Delete.
We're sitting in a screening of Agent 47 last night. He goes, "You see this picture I took the other week? It's him."
Oh, it was
and
the
Jared.
Ultron premiere I saw him, and I didn't know.
Ultron premiere,
I didn't
that's
know
right.
what was going on with him, and then you guys told me the story. I went, delete.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we're talking about the story. He goes, "Oh my gosh, this picture of him and Jared." And I was like, I gotta delete that.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on today? Movie news?
Okay.
I told him he should make it his Facebook profile picture.
It's an amazing photo.
Yeah.
It's like incriminating and for no reason.
It's for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah.
What are you
say
doing?
in the pre-staff
Oh, I'm
meeting?
not repeating that.
Schnepp goes, just put up the picture, put the heading, me and Jared heading off to Disneyland.
It would have been a perfect subtitle.
And now we're off the air. The show has been canceled.
Pictures, I'm sure, man, pictures you regret taking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Delete.
we've all got them.
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Now we can get started.
Okay. As most of you know, actor Hugh Jackman is currently preparing to play the X-Men character Wolverine one last time in the upcoming Wolverine 3. We've already heard from Patrick Stewart that Professor Xavier will appear in the movie, and now Jackman is giving us some more hints. In a recent interview, Jackman said the following: "There were a lot of calls for Victor Creed to come back. There was. I must admit I was quite heartened by a number of people saying, please don't make it the last. But I'm really excited about this last one, and if you're a comic book fan, then the words Berserker Rage came up a lot. So if you know Wolverine, you'll understand." Schnepp, what did you take away from Jackman's comments?
I'd just take away that, after playing the role for like 17 years, of course he's got deep feelings for this character. It's a character that he helped, put his stamp on, and none of us want him to retire. We're like, dude, you could do it till you're 60. You could put another 10, 15 years in.
You totally could.
He really could. And then he'd really be old man Logan. But look, you know what? I mean, you never say never again. This is Wolverine 3. He could take off for 10 years and then come back and really do old man Logan, and none of us would be mad at that. So, I mean, him just talking about some of the things that, like, he, as a fan of the character that he's been playing, Wolverine, is like when he says a berserker rage, and you guys and gals who read the comics, you know what he's talking about. He's talking about, when Wolverine like loses his, his mind goes super crazy. So, that talking about, obviously Professor X is going to be in it, which is great. I don't know what the story is, but now it's at least a little more exciting to have more people from the X-Men world in there. And then getting Sabretooth. I mean, we were talking about the different Sabretooths that have been in the cinematic world so far. And then just last night on Twitter, Hugh Jackman and Lee Schreiber were kind of having a little back and forth
Which
that
is
seemed
awesome.
to be like they were like subtly inferring some kind of, maybe we got to get into our brand new workout, regimen, and it's like Lee's like, I don't know about that. So you guys can look that up on Twitter.
I can just see Taylor Maine right now sitting at home saying, you said that maybe we'll get Sabretooth back, and then saw the tweets from him to Lee Schreiber. Look, Hugh Jackman has been able to pull off something that a lot of great actors can't. Great actors in iconic roles. I mean, look, we think of Mark Hamill, we think Luke Skywalker, we think Luke Skywalker, we think Mark Hamill, right? Mm-hmm. We think of Iron Man, we think of Robert Downey Jr., but when you think of Robert Downey Jr., you also think of Iron Man. Hugh Jackman, though, you think of Wolverine, you instantly think of Hugh Jackman, but if you say Hugh Jackman, you don't have to instantly think Wolverine. He has been able to play this character for 15, 16, 17 years, and however many films it's been, made everybody love the character, and yet he's done so much other great stuff that you don't only think Wolverine when you think Hugh Jackman. He's getting Academy Award nominations for singing in Les Mis,
incredible.
all these other fantastic films that he does. He's just incredible. Now, I read, this is going back about 2 years ago, I guess. He said, honestly, the hardest thing about playing Wolverine is the workout schedule. It's every day, hours every day of just pumping weights. And he said, you know, while my wife appreciates the results, I'd like to do a little bit of gardening with my kid, you know? And I think that's probably the thing he is most looking forward to. Hey, he's going to stay in shape. He's going to still be a big guy, but to have to work out 5 hours a day or do whatever it is that he does to look the way he does at that, it's sick. The dude looks better and better every single time he appears as Wolverine. You know, he was a big guy in those first X-Men films. Right. But then you look at the last one, he's just huge and shredded. It's just unbelievable. And look, we've been having some discussions around the office here about, I really liked Liev Schreiber as Victor Creed. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really think of him as Sabretooth, but I think of him as Victor Creed. And I really like his incarnation of it, although I really don't like how he was used in that last one, nor how they used Deadpool, nor how they did just about anything in that Wolverine film.
Technically, that movie sucked.
Yeah, technically, that movie sucked. Yeah. But I would be very happy to see him come back, especially with this director that did the last Wolverine film. I think he's got some potential, so I'm excited about what he said.
You know, it's funny when you talk about all that stuff with Hugh Jackman and how he's one of those few actors, very rare, like the examples you were given, that you see, like when he pops up on screen, you don't say it's Wolverine. Perfect example of that is with this Pan movie coming out. That's Blackbeard.
Yes.
Not once did I say, oh, that's Wolverine. Right. Forgot about it. But I certainly don't forget about him as Wolverine when he's Wolverine.
Right.
And he's kind of presented a new standard to the fact that you can play this character for a very long time and have respect to it and not get tired of it. Like there was comments that we talked about on Movie Talk. It may have even been a year ago. I don't remember, but it was about comments that Henry Cavill had made. And he had said the same thing, that he wants to play this character, Superman, for as long as the fans want him to do. And he's also one of those guys that's trying to do more stuff like Man from U.N.C.L.E. and other things too. So they remind me of one another as far as like the young kind of path. It seems like Henry Cavill is following Hugh Jackman's road, and that's what a great road to follow. And as far as his comments go, I mean, I would like to see him play Wolverine forever. I hope that we get to the technology one day to where you're going to be able to see a young Hugh Jackman play Wolverine again, and maybe they can actually have Bruce Willis play a young John McClane, so where he doesn't have to phone it in. But and the other thing, as far as having Victor Creed back, I guess I'm on the opposite of you guys. I love Liev Schreiber as an actor, and I don't know, maybe it's just because that movie was so bad that it's kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, almost the same way that Taylor Kitsch, totally. You know, Taylor Kitsch, who I thought was a decent Gambit, still it's like they're getting rid of him. I'd either start over, because Sabretooth and Wolverine's battles to me were my favorite part of the X-Men comics. And from what I remember, I'm not as into the comics as you guys were, but what I remember is that just those brawls and those fights. And I don't remember, were they brothers in the comics?
I don't believe they were.
Because I hated that storyline. It just went.
I agree.
It went against what X-Men was all about. So I hope if they bring him back, I want to see him come back, because I think the character needs justice again. But yeah, him coming back and last one, and eventually when they do replace him, it's going to be tough, but I think we'll get it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, what's next?
This week, the new video game movie adaptation hits the big screen with Hitman Agent 47. Last night, our own Jon and Kristian had a chance to go to Fox Studios to watch the film for the very first time. Jon, what did you think of Hitman Agent 47?
I'll cut right to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the film. Now, this thing has a couple things working against it. Number one, it's a video game movie, and by definition, they all suck. But number two, they're coming off of the previous Hitman movie, which was not good. It was not good at all. So here they come in. The trailers look promising and stuff like that. Now, let me start by saying things I did not like about this film. What stands out to me most negative about the film, the dialogue is awful. It's awful dialogue. There's just no getting around it. It's terrible. I predicted each new line before they got said. Oh, now he's going to say this. Now he's going to say this. Now he's going to say this. And sure enough, it was so predictable and bland and cheesy and cliche. And that's all it was. I mean, all the dialogue was just that way. The storyline was also was convoluted. You never really had a clear idea. Well, wait a minute, who's working for who and who's doing what? And sometimes that's a good thing if it's in the right context and structure. That was not the case here. Also, this was a lower budget film. So I did not expect state-of-the-art cutting visual effects. And sure enough, some of the visual effects in this movie are questionable. It's true. There's a number of shots you can just tell, okay, that's a visual effects shot. Those are my biggest gripes against the movie. Now, here's the things I really liked in this movie. I did not think Rupert Friend would be a good Agent 47. I didn't. I like, and it wasn't because, it was supposed to be Paul Walker. No, that was nothing to do with it. I just saw the dude's face. I'm like, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't think this is the right guy for this. And I thought I might enjoy this movie, but I figured he would be one of the things I didn't enjoy about it. Ate my words. He was a great Agent 47. I really thought the way he carried himself, the way he had to say those bad lines, but the way he said them and carried, I was bought in on him. Maybe 5th, 6th, or 7th second he was on screen. I was totally in. We had Hannah Ware in studio here the other day, but I'm not super familiar with her work. I didn't know how she's going to be in the movie. I thought she was really good. I was afraid she was going to fake her accent because she was in here in studio. She's got this really heavy accent, and she uses her accent in the film. So I was really glad to see that as well. I thought she was quite good, both as kind of, you think the damsel in distress at first and then a kind of a badass at the end, and she convinced me on both. I really liked her. Now, I anticipated that I was going to like the action in the movie because we found out a while ago that the two guys who directed John Wick, which we all lose our minds for, how great was John Wick, those two guys, they directed the action in Hitman Agent 47. So I had a feeling I was going to like the action, and I did. I loved the action. There's this opening sequence where Agent 47 is kind of invading this bunker. I won't give too much away, but there's stairwells involved, and like when he's throwing guys over stairwells and the way they are violently going down. Again, some of the questionable visual effects come into play there, but it was so cool, and you saw a little bit of that John Wick gung fu in the film as well, which I thought was great. So here's the thing. There's a lot of things in this movie that it is totally fair to criticize it on. Absolutely. But for me, because the things I liked, Rupert, Hannah, and the action, this movie has a ton of Rupert, it has a ton of Hannah, and has a ton of action. And because it was heavy on those things, if it was lighter on those, I might have felt differently about the movie. Because it was heavy on those things, when I walked out of the film, I went, I had a good time. I had a good time. Is this one of the all-time great films of the year? Nope. It's going to end up in my top 10 films of the year. No. But if you're like me, when you walk out of the film, I think you'll walk out with a smile. Terrible ending, though. And I don't mean the last act. I mean the very ending of the film is not a good ending. But overall, I walked out with a smile on my face. I had a good time, and that's ultimately what's important to me. So anyway, Kristian, you were sitting literally right behind me watching the film. Your thoughts on Agent 47?
Well, first I want to say this. I know Adrian's a good friend of the show. He's been on a bunch of times, a producer of the movie. And Adrian, I'm sorry, I did not like this movie at all. I just didn't. I agree with you that a lot of the things that you were saying, a lot of the strong points, I agree. I think that Rupert Friend was great, charismatic, really fit the role. And even though I like Oliphant, I thought it just didn't work back.
It wasn't a good fit with
No,
Oliphant.
it didn't work. But this guy worked. That was what I remembered from the video game. That portion of it, absolutely. And I thought that Hannah, what's her?
Hannah
Ware was, the acting was great. But like you said, this script is disastrous. And I have to call him out. It's a Skip Woods special. Skip Woods is one of these guys. Now, when I see this guy's name on stuff, I go, ugh. We were talking about X-Men Origins. Guess who wrote it? Skip Woods. You know, the guy is it's poisonous almost to the point that he cannot write anything. And it's dialogue. You're watching it. Oh my God, stop! And then there were a lot of ripoffs. I felt The Matrix. I felt The Terminator. I felt Pulp Fiction at one point, and not in like an homage way. Like, oh, there's literally a scene right out of The Matrix. It doesn't go all the way to the extent, but it's the same scene. And then, oh man, like the CGI, like you said, it's a cheaper movie. Know what you have, because John Wick, not an expensive movie, knew what they had, didn't over CGI it. It ripped me out of the movie sometimes. Like I watched a scene recently of Air Force One back in, was that 97, 98 or whatever, and there's a scene at the end where the plane, it looks like Previs, but that's 1997. There were scenes like that in this. And I'm like, we're in 2015 now. It's like, and it's like, I don't know if it was rushed or what it was, but it sucked me out of the movie. However, the action was incredible. It really was. It's not, I didn't hate this movie. I wanted it to be so good because I wanted this to be the movie that basically shocked some life back into video game movies, or not even shocked some life, gave life to video game movies. We're still going to be waiting for Warcraft to do that, because this movie. I think that if you're watching it on TV, if you pop into cable, and you're like, okay, it's on, that's fine. I think that you may be disappointed though if you go to the movies to see it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think with me, with the bringing it into the video game adaptation stuff, it's that. Look, I have never, other than Mortal Kombat, I've never enjoyed a video game movie. They've none of them been good. But coming out of this, because I think we agree totally on everything that was wrong and everything that was right. Yeah. It's just that one outweighed the other for me, one outweighed the other for you. That for me, it went, okay, it's possible. It's possible. I enjoyed enough about this movie that I walked out. I was like, see, it's possible to make a decent video game movie.
There's a good movie in there somewhere. They really needed to hire somebody else to write it. They really did.
I have to agree with you. I mean, the biggest problem with this film, aside from budget concerns and the questionable visual effects, was the script. Yeah. But like I said, for me, there was enough of the positive stuff that I still ended up liking. So for me, I'm going to give Hitman Agent 47 a 6.5 out of 10. That's my score. What would you give it out of 10?
Man, it's 5, maybe 4.5. 4.5 or 4.5. I don't know.
I don't know. 4.5.
I got to think about it.
4.5 or 5. So we'll go 4.5 in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 6.5. Guys, make sure if you see Agent 47 this week, make sure you come back to this video, jump in the comments, and let us know what you think of Hitman Agent 47. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Sinead's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Sinead, what do we got?
District 9 Elysium and Chappie director Neil Blomkamp is currently working on developing Alien 5 for Fox. However, according to a report from horror website Bloody Disgusting, the movie may get pushed back as much as a year due to Ridley Scott insisting that his upcoming Prometheus 2 film come out first. The report says the following: Alien 5 is still very much in the works as Fox remains hot on the idea. Blomkamp continues to work on the script, only an outline existed previously, and refine the tale he is telling. Ridley Scott is still producing, but has insisted on Prometheus 2 being made first. Kristian, do you buy or sell Ridley Scott insisting on Prometheus 2 get prioritized over Alien 5?
I buy the South African's pronunciation of Blomkamp.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I buy it, and I'll tell you that I know it's very easy for people to say, "Oh, come on, Ridley Scott, you're just throwing your weight around, and Prometheus was okay. Some people liked it, some people hated it. Let this guy do his thing." I happen to be on the side of it that I didn't love Prometheus. I thought it looked beautiful. I didn't love the movie because I wanted to see a prequel to Alien. That's what I was kind of being sold on, and then it was this whole thing like, well, it's not really a prequel. It could be, and it's like, just give me a prequel to Alien. And I think that that's what they want to do, because I think that it will actually benefit Blomkamp to have Ridley Scott's version, if it's good, if this prequel, because you're enhancing the mythology. And if you can do that with a version of what Ridley Scott's doing here, and this Prometheus 2, or actually ties into the franchise and gives Blomkamp a little bit more to work with, I like the idea, because I think that actually will benefit Alien 5, because I think Blomkamp needs all the help that he can get at this point, because I think all three of us here hated Chappie. And he needs to prove himself. And this is a franchise. You don't want to mess this up, because even if there are people who love Chappie out there, you screw up Alien 5, you're done. Because you're coming off of too many questionable movies.
Yeah, I buy this actually decision by Ridley Scott, because Ridley has already said you're not going to see any aliens in the new Prometheus. They're not going to be there. He really, ever since that first Prometheus you're pointing out, where Ridley would come out and say, look, it's okay, yeah, it's a prequel to Aliens in the same universe, but this isn't an Aliens movie. Like, I think Ridley really wants to separate Prometheus from Alien. I really think he does. And I think, I'm speculating here, but I think part of his thinking process on this is that to ensure we get some separation in everybody's minds between Prometheus and Alien, it would hurt if Alien came out first. He's probably thinking, let me get Prometheus out there first and get as much separation between Alien and I as we can, and then Alien 5 can come out and do its own thing after that. And I kind of think that's where he's thinking. I'm nervous about Alien 5. I was very hot on Neil Blomkamp. I hope I'm getting close to that. Mm-hmm. I was very big on Neil directing Alien 5, even though, I mean, Chappie sucked. I'm sorry. There's no prettier way to put it. Chappie sucked. Elysium was disappointing. And as much as I love District 9, that's the only reason I'm still holding a little bit of hope. But I am nervous now about Alien. So, but anyway, I do buy Ridley's reasons for wanting to do Prometheus 2 first. Schnepp?
Yeah, I mean, I have actually really liked Prometheus. I mean, there's problems with the script and certain things didn't make sense, but overall, it was really entertaining. Thought it was a great prequel, even though there were no aliens in it. I didn't necessarily need that to be the case. And I really want him to do this Prometheus 2 Paradise or whatever it's going to be called when, you know, the main gal and the head of the android go to the, you know, the engineer's homeworld. I guess that's what's going to supposedly happen. That's what we've been told. And I think that's exciting. I think that should come first. And then they do Alien 5. My only reserve on that is that I think Ridley Scott might be a little like, well, now that I'm done with Prometheus 2, I'll do Alien 5. Like, he's very close to, like, he doesn't want people messing around with
He doesn't get
Alien.
the decision, though, on it, though.
No, I know, but, like, he's producing it.
Yeah.
And he's producing Alien 5. And, you know, the reason they brought him back into the fold was because of all the crappy Alien films that came out that didn't do anything and did ruin the franchise. And he's of the mindset where it's like, look, if you go back to the original Alien, there was only one alien. I want to make it back so that it's scary again. So when you have a million aliens, it's not scary. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to excuse me. I'm looking forward to seeing Prometheus 2 first.
I know. I was pretty scared in Aliens with a million aliens.
Oh, yeah,
running
no,
around.
Alien, but Aliens is more of a war film.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. That's true. It's less of a horror film. All right, what's next?
According to a report in Deadline, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation actress Rebecca Ferguson has joined the upcoming Emily Blunt film, The Girl on the Train. The film is being directed by The Help and Get On Up director Tate Taylor and is based on the best-selling book of the same name. A regular train commuter sees an event that shocks her, and her world is thrown into chaos after she reports the incident to the police. John, do you buy or sell the sounds of The Girl on the Train and the addition of Rebecca Ferguson to the cast?
I buy everything about this. Number one, Emily Blunt. Number two, Rebecca Ferguson. When I tell you why I'm most excited about this is because of the name Tate Taylor. The Help was one of those movies. I remember I went to go watch The Help on the Disney lot. And I remember I came out and I wasn't allowed to talk about the film per se. So I put out this kind of cryptic Facebook message that basically said, I just saw a movie that reminds me about why I love the movies. And that's what The Help did. The way Tate Taylor handled The Help, which won a couple of Academy Awards, got nominated for several others. That was just a beautiful, wonderfully told story that I just enraptured me and just made me come out going, I love movies because of The Help. And the job he did on Get On Up, that's a movie that didn't get enough credit, I don't think. It was Get On Up. I think he did a spectacular job on that. To see him now step into a film like this and work with women like Rebecca Ferguson and Emily Blunt, because we've seen what he's done working with great women performers in The Help, it just makes me excited. And I want to see what Rebecca Ferguson is really made of. We saw her in something that we loved her in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I almost said Rogue One. And now we want to see what she does after that. Put her in the hands of a director like Tate Taylor. This is good news written all over it. So for me, it's a buy.
Huge buy for all those reasons. And you had me at Emily Blunt and Rebecca Ferguson in one movie. And these are some of the two. Right now, Rebecca Ferguson has catapulted into one of the top female action stars just from one movie.
Yeah.
And to be able to put some, and after you see what Emily Blunt did in an action movie like Edge of Tomorrow, whatever it's called, like you said.
Days of Future, Live, Die,
Days of
Repeat.
Futures, How many times can you die tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
It is, but now you get to see them. We know Emily Blunt can act. We know the kind of chops she has. I absolutely agree with you, John. I want to see what Rebecca Ferguson has as an actress, because first time I ever saw her was in that silly Hercules movie, and she sure isn't testing the chops there. So now I get to see it, now that she has a higher profile, to see that. And yes, from what Tate has done so far, I loved The Help. I liked Get On Up. I thought that Boseman stole that whole movie.
Incredible.
But a lot of that has to be given. You got to give credit to the director as well too, because the director is the one who's leading the actor, helping the actor, getting the performance out of the actor. So he should get the credit for that. So he clearly works with actors very well. This sounds good to me. And once the trailer comes, we'll have a lot more thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it too. I buy it also because of the premise of the story. It reminds me of like an old film noir or some kind of one of those action thrillers.
Absolutely.
Even the title, The Girl on the Train. So everything about it sounds like a film that I haven't seen anyone in Hollywood try to do recently on a larger budget with quality actors. So that's why I'm buying it. So
All right, what's next?
A brand new trailer has hit the web for the upcoming Ridley Scott film, The Martian, starring Matt Damon. When astronauts blast off from the planet Mars, they leave behind Mark Watney, played by Damon, who was then presumed dead after a fierce storm. With only a meager amount of supplies, the stranded visitor must utilize his wits and spirit to find a way to survive on the hostile planet. Meanwhile, back on Earth, members of NASA and a team of international scientists work tirelessly to bring him home, while his crewmates hatch their own plan for a daring rescue mission. Kristian, buy or sell this new trailer for The Martian?
I buy the sequel to Interstellar, which is obviously you have Matthew McConaughey's daughter going to rescue Matt Damon, who survived.
Plot twist: Mars is actually Earth.
There you go. I buy this trailer, and I agree with everything. I was on the show when you guys talked about the first trailer, and I agree with everything you said. The first trailer gave everything away. I thought between that and the Southpaw and just these movies that keep giving away the entire plot. I don't know if after watching this trailer, this most recent one, I don't know it's because I've seen the first one already that it didn't seem like it gave everything away, or just because I feel like I know the movie already. It's in my head going, oh, we're just seeing parts of the trailer that you saw again. It's just, that's going to happen. But I do like this. It seems like Castaway. It seems like Castaway to where, and he's got to survive, and then you have like his friends are going to rescue him at the very end. You kind of know what's going to happen in this movie already, and I don't know if that's the trailer's fault or just the beauty of the story. I don't know, but I know that I'm interested in it, and I know it's primarily because it's not Ridley Scott. To say it's Matt Damon. Matt Damon to me in this is the kind of role that he's perfect for. He's the kind of, there are very few actors like a Tom Hanks, who can be on a planet by himself, and we're going to be following him gardening, and I'm going to be interested in it. Right. I'm going to be like, how is he going to survive? You got to care about these guys. You got to care about the people. Like, do you want them to survive? Do you want their friends to go get them? And Matt Damon's that guy that I want to see rescued. I want to see how he's going to survive there. And then you put Jessica Chastain in it, and you put that other side of the astronauts. This looks like a movie that Ridley Scott could come back from the last couple bad movies. This movie, I'm excited for this film.
Huge buy for me. Yeah. I thought this trailer was spectacular. I love it. Now, my wife has actually been listening, or she did it in about a week, but she's been listening to the audiobook of The Martian. So now I know a lot of the story. I heard a lot of the movie already. The book is surprisingly hilarious. It's really funny. Now, most of it is the main character played by Matt Damon doing a lot of internal monologue and stuff like that. But it's just really, really funny. And I didn't think it gave all that much away. I mean, I haven't seen the movie. I haven't read the whole book through, but I heard a lot of it because my wife was doing it. So I think, look, here's the thing. A lot of people out there have read the book and read The Martian, and they're super excited about the movie. And they already know everything that's going to happen in the movie, and yet they're excited about it because it's the movie. They haven't seen the movie. So I think this trailer is great. Even if I wasn't already excited for this movie, I would be now. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this is going to be Ridley Scott's redemption because he is in a years and years long slump. I'm hoping this is going to be a movie that breaks it out.
Yeah, I'll buy this trailer. I don't think he's in that much of a slump because I liked Prometheus, but Exodus was horrible. So, but that's his career. It's
Robin
like
Hood.
But that's his career.
The lawyer. No, what was that movie called?
Oh, right.
I know.
And then another one he did with Russell Crowe.
All right. I'm fighting a losing battle here. This could be his redemption. It would be weird if he found like LV 45. Like this is actually is the real sequel to Alien. There's an alien, but that's not gonna happen.
It's actually Prometheus 2.
That's right. He's actually shooting Prometheus 2 right now. You know what? I didn't like the first trailer because it gave away everything. I was talking with Kristian about this. This is exactly the same as the first trailer, but it gives away exactly the same plot points, but rearranges them somewhat and does it in a better way. So I'd say if you have to watch any of these trailers, watch this trailer of The Martian. If you have to be convinced to go see it, like I was already convinced that I wanted to see it. I didn't even want to see this trailer, but I had to see it because I do this show and I had to have an opinion. So my opinion is watch this trailer if you have to watch any of the Martian trailers because it's the best trailer they put together so far. I definitely am looking forward to seeing the film.
All right, what's next?
A post-apocalyptic Zorro film has been in development over at Fox for a number of years, but the project has failed to ever get off the ground. Now, according to The Hollywood Reporter, Fox has let the project go, and Lantica Media and Sobini Films have picked up the project and is aiming to start shooting the film in March. The film is described as a post-apocalyptic take on the myth of Zorro, set in the near future, but keeps the idea of a masked and caped stranger taking on tyrants. Schnepp, do you buy or sell the sounds of a post-apocalyptic Zorro movie?
Well, the first clue is that Fox actually let this property go. Fox, that can bumble and mess up a whole bunch of properties, didn't even have the ability to think like, well, we could do something with this property. Zorro is a tired character from the 30s that should have been retired in the 60s. I don't think Zorro makes sense in the future. It just sounded really stupid to me. Zorro beyond Zorro, a post-apocalyptic Zorro. I think it just sounds really stupid. And I mean, if you want to waste $50 million, please go ahead and do it, whoever this new production company is, because I don't think there's a desire to see anything with the name Zorro attached.
I sell, but not because of Zorro, but because the idea of a post-apocalyptic Zorro. I know. And remember, we're just hearing the concept. Maybe there's actually a script out there that would blow us away. Okay, that's fine. Leave room for that. But we have to deal with what we have in front of us. And all I have in front of me is the concept of a post-apocalyptic Zorro, and that sounds absolutely ridiculous to me. I gotta admit, I'd be one of those people that I would be interested in hearing a brand new take on the classic Zorro set in the time period that it's supposed to be set in. I'd be into that. I'd be interested in that. To your point, I'm not sure how many other people would be interested in it, but I know I would be. But this notion, nothing about it sounds appealing to me. So for now, I'm going to give it a sell.
I sell it. We have Zorro. His name's Batman. We don't need Zorro anymore.
Yeah,
but
a small Bruce Wayne saw Zorro, and that was one of the influences.
Right. So look, the thing is, I instantly think of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter when I think of this. But
you're not wrong.
You don't necessarily need to call him Zorro. You could do a story like this, or even if it's you set up what this world is, this post-apocalyptic world, or whatever it might be, and who the government is, or whoever the main antagonists are in it. And then you have this guy that maybe similar to what Batman did, finds a Zorro type thing and puts on the mask and he starts calling him Zorro or whatever, but it's already been established that exists. Even that sounds terrible. Even hear my own pitch. It's horrible. Forget it. I sell my own pitch. It's hard to do. It's hard to do.
Let me cross this Z upon your face.
I just Z'd my own pitch. Yeah. So I don't care. And especially, Schnepp, you nailed it. When Fox goes, yeah, we can do everything except that. Then no.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for Rewind. It's Wednesday when we talk about films that make us feel old because how long ago they actually came out. We look at the films that opened 10 years ago this week and the films that opened 20 years ago this week, and some amazing films on this week's list. First, let's start with the films celebrating their 10-year anniversary. We've got the Rachel McAdams, Cillian Murphy film Red Eye. We got the film that never should have been made, Supercross. And we got the film that nobody ever saw, Valiant. And to me, my favorite comedy of all time. Wow. My number one all-time favorite comedy. Sometimes it drops down to number 2 for Noises Off. But generally speaking, my favorite comedy of all time, I still think the best comedy ever made, is 40-Year-Old Virgin. Schnepp, let's start with you. What stands out to you on this list of films turning 10? And can you believe these films are 10 years old now?
Some of them I can. Yeah, like we were talking earlier, making fun of Valiant. That's a movie that I actively avoided. I remember when it came out and I didn't want to see it. Still don't.
Your line in our pre-production meeting is, I remember not watching that.
Yeah. But yeah, 40-Year-Old Virgin is the movie that put Judd Apatow on the movie map. And it's an incredibly funny film. I remember seeing Red Eye. It's an okay thriller.
Yeah, it's a decent film. I liked Red Eye.
And, but yeah, 40-Year-Old Virgin is the big standout for me.
Oh yeah, 40-Year-Old Virgin for me. 40-Year-Old Virgin, because not only was it the one that put Judd Apatow on the map, you know, Steve Carell, he got his break with The Daily Show. He got his face recognizable from that incredible small role he did on Bruce Almighty. Right. That role, that one scene of him in the newsroom, when he was able to do that, that was the funniest part of that movie. A lot of people remembered it, and it kind of opened the door for him to get some other opportunities, and then 40-Year-Old Virgin. And that film whether it's Domani, whether it's Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, and of course Steve Carell, one of the best foursome chemistry things I've ever seen on screen. Every scene these guys did, I thought was hilarious. I love that movie so much, and I liked Red Eye. I liked it. Supercross, again, a movie that never should have been made. Valiant is also one that I remember not seeing. But yeah, wow, that's 10 years ago. 40-year version. Anyway, what stands out to you about this list?
Valiant. When you see that, when you see from the producers of Shrek and Shrek 2, aka please see this movie. Yeah, I haven't seen any of those movies except 40-Year-Old Virgin. I missed Red Eye. It was the one I remember wanting to see it because I was Rachel McAdams to this day still a big fan of hers, and I remember they're announcing she was in that movie, and I don't know why I never got around to seeing it, but I do want to see it soon. Actually, now I will. That's what I'm gonna do after this show. 40-Year-Old Virgin is absolutely the one that stands out because I remember going to see the movie with my buddy Mark Riley, who actually looks like Carell on the poster.
He does, actually. Riley does look like that.
Just like him. But I remember us going, this is going to be terrible. Why are we going to see this movie? And just dying laughing the entire time because it wasn't just because we thought it was just going to be like a gross out, kind of what Vacation was this year. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be this gross out movie, and it had heart. It showed what Steve Carell could do as an actor, comedic actor. It showed how likable he was. And you're absolutely right with the addition of Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen. I remember coming out of that and going, Seth Rogen, that dude, watch out for that guy because he just chewed scenery.
You know what his big scene was before that movie? What his big scene before that movie was? Anchorman.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
And
right.
he was just no. That's Steve
Seth Rogen.
Carell. Seth Rogen.
Oh, Seth Rogen, right.
Was just the girl, the love interest for Anchorman. Her cameraman at the Panda Bird.
Right.
That was it. That was his big screen.
Oh,
appearance.
yeah.
He was the cameraman.
He was a writer. I mean, he wrote the core. I think Donnie Darko, and he was a writer on the Ali G show. So and he was obviously he was in Freaks and Geeks and all that, and Undeclared and all that stuff. But it's set. It made Apatow was bombing everything he was doing at TV. Even though shows were great, they were canceled. I remember going to see him at a Writers Guild thing, and he was just talking about how he just can't get anything to go. Like people weren't responding to stuff, and then
40-year-old.
There you go.
Oh wait, Sinead, tell your story about when you saw because this will make you feel really old about 40-Year-Old Virgin.
No.
40-Year-Old Virgin.
Was it 40-Year-Old Virgin? Oh yeah, that's right.
I saw 40-Year-Old Virgin for the first time when I was 13, because it's 10 years ago. And I watched it unrated with my mom and my dad. And it was their idea. They were like, this movie's hilarious. It had just come out on DVD. They got really good reviews, and the first 10 seconds of the movie is the most awkward thing in the entire world to watch with your parents who thought it was hysterical. But yeah, I think that just shows, if we all can remember the first time we watched that movie, that it's a really damn good movie.
No, Andy, I don't want your giant box of porn. Love that one. Although coming out of that conversation, the funniest line I heard, do you mind if I tell people the line you said?
Oh, no, not at all.
The funniest line pre-production today, I thought I was going to die. She mentioned she was 13 years old. I was like, wait a minute, when were you born? Was it 92?
92.
92. And Schnepp goes, holy crap. I was already on drugs by the time you were born.
I've done drugs already older than you. Yeah.
I was doing drugs before you even existed.
There you go. That's the line.
That's the way he said it. That was the line. All right, let's look now at the films that turned 20 years old this week. And a couple of these shocked me. Number one, Mortal Kombat. Somewhere, Mark Ellis is raising his fist in the air. Mortal Kombat turns 20 years old this week. The Usual Suspects. In my top has been for many years and still is in my top 10 greatest films of all time list for me personally. The Usual Suspects and The Babysitters Club. Kristian, let's start with you. What stands out to you on this list? 20 years old.
Easily one of my favorite movies at all. Crafted, it puts you in a movie like this. Is what you said before. Is why I love movies. You're just blown away by it. The Babysitter's Club. No, I mean Usual Suspects, man. I mean Chris McQuarrie writing one of the best scripts of all time. Bryan Singer talking about somebody getting put on the map, and then Kaiser Soze. I mean, he's still one of the best villains ever.
Never see.
Never see him coming. And that's the point of the movie. And that, if you have never seen The Usual Suspects, watch it immediately. And I'm going to try not to. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but man, that movie. everything with Chaz Palminteri and Kevin Spacey. And there's not a dull moment. The funny, you know what I didn't realize? One of my favorite critics of all time, the late great Roger Ebert, hated it.
Oh wow!
I just found that out recently. Which is, you know, who knows? To each his own. But that movie absolutely stands out. Mortal Kombat. Whatever you want to say about Mortal Kombat, how cheesy it is still the best video game movie of all time. Now, hopefully that changes soon. But right now it's the best because it took everything that you played out of that game and how popular it was. It capitalized on how popular the game was, and it brought those characters to life. And doing exactly the opposite of what Street Fighter did.
Yeah.
Do you know that was actually Robert Downey Jr.'s wife, who formerly Susan Levine. That was her first big movie as a producer, and that kind of catapulted her career.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Fun fact.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat for me, it was like, get over here. I was a big fan of Mortal Kombat, so it was great, and it's just such an energetic song that, you know, Mortal Kombat.
The soundtrack.
Yeah,
I own the
amazing.
soundtrack. The whole sound of what was that? Du hast. That whole soundtrack was amazing.
Yeah,
It was
it's a great soundtrack and a really fun film, and it's just fun. And that's what I think sometimes people forget when they're making video game movies. It's like, well, when you're playing a video game, you're supposed to be having fun. And if you're going to make an adaptation of that, you have to grab the core concepts of whatever it is that's fun about the video game and try to make that entertaining, that you're not playing it, you're watching it. So for this, Mortal Kombat, the first one, parts of the second one as well, for me, I love. The Usual Suspects, the one that stands out to me the most. Incredible filmmaking. I mean, it's really, you're right. It's like, that's a movie that put McQuarrie and Singer on the map, and deservedly so, and introduced us all to Spacey and what's his name? Benicio del Toro, Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne.
Just incredible role for
is it
Gabriel
Pollock?
Byrne. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pollock. Yeah.
It's such an incredible cast.
Stephen Baldwin's best role ever.
He's so good.
And he's so good.
He's amazing.
I want to quote him, but it's got a curse in it. But it's just like, give me the keys. It's so good.
Fantastic film. Yeah.
And if you have not seen Usual Suspects yet, then let me just try to sell you on it. The guy who directed X-Men Days of Future Past directed this film. Just go watch it. And I think only one person at this table has seen The Babysitter's Club. Your fond memories of the Babysitter's Club.
First of all, let me just say, when does this ever happen? Sinead doesn't watch any movies. Well, there you go, because I've seen The Babysitter's Club. It was with Rachel Lee Cook and Skylar Fisk, which was the girl from Snow Day. Do you remember that movie?
I don't even remember Snow Day.
Anyways, Babysitter's Club was it was like a 90s film, but I had all the books. It was like a huge series. It had like spin-offs, it had like Babysitter's Mysteries, but it was basically about a teenager's kind of like a now and then feel of this group of girls like coming into their own. And there was like the one her dad was like, she had like problems with her dad and her parents were getting a divorce, but it was based on the books, which I had, and the movie is really, really good. It's like a feel-good, cute teen 90s movie.
That opened the same week as The Usual Suspects and Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Go figure. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address, just send it on in to collidervideo@gmail.com and see if your question gets on the show. So, Sinead, what do we got in the mailbag?
Tian writes, with Warner Brothers gearing up to launch their DC cinematic continuity, many have accused them of rushing to catch up to Marvel's successful cinematic universe. Lest we forget, while Marvel was busy establishing the MCU, WB was juggling the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies, the Dark Knight trilogy, the 300 films, V for Vendetta, and countless other good to great movies. So between the two studios, which is truly ahead of the other?
Well, I mean, it all depends on what you're comparing. If you're comparing your comic book universe, then everybody saying that Warner Brothers is playing catch up right now to Marvel is completely accurate. Now, if you want to bring in other things like a Lord of the Rings epic or other types of epics as well, well, then you can, if you want to do that, you're starting a slippery slope, because at some point then you can just go, yeah, well, Disney was doing, Steamboat Willie and was doing Mary Poppins, and so who's playing catch up with who? I mean, then it becomes never ending. Create the parameters of what the discussion is. Who is catching up to whose comic book cinematic universe? And if that's the question, then there's no doubt. Look, I'm super looking forward to Batman vs. Superman. Everybody knows that. I'm losing my mind over it. But Warner Brothers right now is playing catch up to Marvel, which is far ahead at the moment. Now, I've made the argument before. I'll say it again. no matter how far behind Warner Brothers is right now and DC is right now to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because of how many films they put out, how many good quality films they put out, all that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, I stand by this. If Batman versus Superman, which is, I'm going to say, the most highly anticipated comic book movie of all time. I've never looked forward to a comic book movie more than I've looked forward to Batman versus Superman. If this movie is great, Warner Brothers catches up with one film. As far as if you go out to the general audience now and say, are you looking forward to the next Warner Brothers DC movie now? Or are you looking forward more to the next Marvel? I think it's going to be almost 50-50 if Batman versus Superman knocks it out of the park. I still believe that. So yeah, Warner Brothers is still playing catch up to Marvel. At least that's how I interpret it. Kristian, how do you see it?
I think as far as the comic book universe, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's just a matter of got more mileage. You know, it's like, and I understand what you're saying with if Batman and Superman hits, the excitement level is going to be there for just
then the average moviegoer will be just as much looking forward to the next DC movie as
but they're still going to have
Marvel.
catch up as far as connecting the whole universe together.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's really there's no reason to have a discussion about it because it's just like I said, it's mileage. Now, however, if you wanted to take a time period and say, okay, look, let's go over the last five years on who's winning between, we'd say, the studios, Disney or Warner Brothers. It's a tough fight. Because don't forget about movies like Argo. Don't forget about all these movies. Like Warner Brothers chimes out those Oscars, and that's it's a big thing in our business.
And if we're broadening the discussion to all movies,
if we're talking about a studio fight,
right?
Talking about a studio fight, then it's a different conversation.
Yes,
but
it is.
I don't think that there's really Let's talk about the cinematic universe in a year. Or 2 years, because then we'll have Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, and we'll see
much different discussion then.
Because you can compare the first year.
Right.
And you can say, what did the DC Cinematic Universe do in that first year? What did the Marvel Cinematic Universe? By the time we got to Justice League, do we care more about the characters in the universe more than we did before we got to the first Avengers? It's a fun conversation to have in a year to 2 to 3 years from now.
I'd say let's broaden it up and say, if Marvel's not even in their first decade of the cinematic universe. And Warner Brothers has been making superhero films successfully since, let's just say, 1978, Superman the movie.
Right.
So they have a string of superhero films that were successful for the last 4 or 5 decades. You have Superman, Superman 2, you have Batman, Batman Returns. We won't talk about the other sequels of those films, but at least those 4 movies alone.
Green Lantern.
No, I'm just talking about like from 3 decades ago. So we're talking about they've already established themselves as, hey, we're the guys who make these superhero films. Marvel had a bunch of horrible films, before Disney came along and before Marvel got a lot of their characters.
Marvel wasn't really a studio.
They were in a studio, right?
They weren't
in
a studio. So their first actual studio film was Iron Man and the Hulk.
Right.
The Marvel proper cinematic universe, and that was 2007 or 2008, I think.
Yeah, I think Iron Man 1 was 2008.
Yeah, so we're not even in a decade of Marvel cinematic universes, and we've already got questions like who's going to win. So I think it's like a little early. Like, yeah, we have bombs like you have the Fantastic Four, you also have Green Lantern. You have you have misfires, like you have the Punisher, and you have Superman Returns. You have on both sides, you have like, hey, we've got our franchise. No, you don't. Nobody liked it, or it didn't work.
But isn't that a little different though, because the cinematic universe hadn't really been established yet.
It is different, but all I'm saying is in the context of time.
Sure.
So within the context of time, Superman Returns and Green Lantern were misfires and didn't start their cinematic universe, which I think they were hoping would, to follow suit with Iron Man and Hulk and Captain America and Thor, and then Avengers. And then once Avengers hit, that's when Warner Bros. Was like, we got to get on this. Man of Steel was already in production. It was already shot. They delayed it a year and reformed their ideas as to how they can reverse engineer it. So that's really what we're talking about is next year is the big fight, the big battle. As you're right. Yeah. If Batman v Superman doesn't knock it out of the park, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
And there's going to be big problems. Yeah. So, I mean, it has to just be good. I mean, that's really all any fan of Batman or Superman and these two iconic characters meeting up in a giant big budget film, it just has to be good to satisfy real hardcore fans. We don't want it to just be good. We want it to be amazing. We want it to be everything we've always wanted. And I think with people like Zack Snyder, who's already a big comic book fan and has already proven himself with his amazing visual stylings, I think we're going to get something really special. So is it going to be the film that ties everything together? I don't know, but I think it's going to be the film that pops it off.
Guys, don't worry about it. I heard that Warner Brothers executives gave the Warner Brothers movie a big standing
Took
ovation.
my joke.
So no need to worry, everybody.
Relax.
Yeah, I heard,
No
heard
need
Zack
to
Snyder
worry.
gave it a standing O when he watched it in his computer at his home.
Pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that'll do it for this installment of Movie Talk. I think this was a long one. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing over at our friends at AMC Theaters. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. And make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Take a second right now and subscribe to our channel, keeping you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting over here, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You guys find me at Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp and at TDOSLWH. You can find me tomorrow on the Schmoes Know Smackdown Freak Out. We're gonna
You
be in
and Dennis
Dennis.
Zen.
Team Collider are gonna like tackle some dude who's like gonna direct the Jetsons and a couple other people I never heard about him. But we're gonna have fun playing against him. Maybe we'll lose. See you tomorrow, and check out my film at www.tdoslwh.com.
I might have to come into the studio with you guys to keep an eye on the judges.
I know,
'Cause they
right?
almost tried to rip a question off from me when I was in there. I gotta keep an eye
you
on
might
it.
want to be there.
I'm
That's
going
all
to be the
saying.
enforcer tomorrow. Sitting over here, Mr. Kristian Harloff. Kristian, where can people find you online?
I'm going to be making sure I get all the questions right on the Ultimate Schmodown tomorrow. I'd love to see you walking a la Bobby Heenan. That'd be amazing. Yeah, follow me at Kristian Harloff on Twitter and Instagram. And make sure tomorrow, if you're not watching, by the way, thank you to everybody. It was our highest viewed Jedi Council this past week. You guys are watching, letting your voices be heard. Hashtag Collider Jedi Council. Put it on there. We're going to go through all the questions. We'll get your questions on the air.
We will try. We'll try to get your
Try
questions.
every single one of them. Every thousand.
300 questions
Yes.
today on Jedi Council.
Dennis will look like old man Dennis by the time we're done because there'll be so many questions.
And of course, our lovely host today, the Babysitter Club watching expert, Sinead DeFries. Sinead, where can people find you online?
I'm online at Sinead DeFries on all social media and at thatsosinead.com.
And you can find me just on Facebook or on Twitter. Just follow me at Jon Campea. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. My name is Jon Campea for Collider Video, and until next time, bye-bye.